It's a hard strategy, and we of course throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall. We try to do less of that now, but what we really do is rely on great market research, focus groups, surveys. How is it that alums want to be communicated with? What activities would be of interest to them? We look at our resource availability. We look at how we can build common threads between those different demographics, but frankly it's expensive and time consuming. Here's where we have found some common ground. What has surveyed and what has polled well across all demographics is alums want to be active in the life of students, whether they're 102 years old or 22 years old. If we can create viable opportunities for them to contribute to the life of a student, whether that's through an electronic medium, through a face-to-face lunch, through any number of different avenues, that seems to be the great equalizer. So think about JET. What is it that would really be of value to your different demographics? What is it that is that common connection? Maybe it's something around the Japanese ambassador affinity effort. Maybe it's something around language and culture. Maybe it's contributing to the re-entry. Maybe it's finding an avenue to play on a part of an experience where an alum might say, I wish someone did something for me that made that part of my experience better. And that, of course, is what we find with a number of our alums of color. They're very eager not to reconnect with the university because it may not have been the best experience that they had, but they're eager to reconnect with the lives of students to create something that is more enjoyable for them than it was for, or for the student than it was for them. Yes, ma'am.
I imagine that a lot of people feel more willing to volunteer as long as there can be like a non-committal approach. Like they're just scared to, sign the dotted line.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to be more aggressive or to be more tolerant of that attitude? And if it's better to be more persistent, how can you lessen the perception that we're trying to be so persistent like that?
We actually had a very difficult time with our volunteer structure. We had about 100 and some odd people a year come to us saying, we want to do something for the University of Washington. And we'd say, okay, let's take your information, and we wouldn't give them a call for a year or 2 years. The hard part that we had was really defining what a volunteer engagement role would be, a specific role, and how it would be of value to the things that motivated them to come to us in the first place. So I think it really is providing clarity for what you need as an organization. Say, even having volunteer job descriptions, developing those pieces, showing what time it takes, what's the commitment, when it will be, where it would be, how you'll get in contact with them, and then follow up, because I think that piece is important. I've heard from several volunteers in the past that have stated to me that the only reason that they started volunteering is that somebody asked them to. I think that if you're able to get those folks who have positive volunteer experiences out there, talking with other JETs about how positive their experience was, I think that you'll be surprised at how many things that people will be involved with.
That's right. I'll give you a quick example of the university. When Kyle and I arrived several years ago, we had $10,000, $12,000 a year supporting viewing parties for alums in different cities to watch football games. $12,000. Sending balloons and confetti all across the nation to viewing parties. So our interest was, we want those geographic chapters to join us in making phone calls to incoming students and meeting their parents and playing a substantive role in the admissions process to reinforce why their choice of Washington was a good choice. So imagine the conversation about, we don't want to pay for you to have your private party at the Pig and Whistle. We'd like to have you join our admissions team and start calling students and their parents and talking about the life of the university. A very interesting dialogue. People were able to set aside the more superfluous goals that they were interested in to realize, that actually has meaning, and that's a good thing, and I need to do that. And the people that didn't want to do that still do their viewing parties. We don't support them in the same way, but there's an avenue for them to have their connection as well. So I think the answer is, as Kyle said, you have to be ready to say no when needed, but clarify what your needs are and why your needs are important to you and to the organization. And if the needs are different, then be honest about why they're different, and not to take away that interest is there, but to say that you're not necessarily the place that can create the expectation to use that effectively.
Remember, keep in mind that the enkais, the parties, the nijikais, the sanjikais actually play an important role in that volunteer recruitment for us. For us viewing parties, we scaled them back, but there are still places where they connect and they get to know one another. That's when we articulate the value of the organization. And again, that's where the important role of leadership is within these JETAA alumni structures, is the ability to articulate what your organization is about, and once again, curl up into that hedgehog principle.
Well, I know the red light's on in the back of the room, so we're getting cut off up here at the table, but we're going to stick around for lunch, and we really appreciate your attention, and are open for questions, and applaud what you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul and Kyle. And before you leave, first of all, I would like to. Oops, that one's doing that. I would like to present a small token of appreciation from JETAA USA on behalf of everyone. As well, we have a small gift from local artists. The first is a paper cutting artist, Aki Sogabe, and so we have this for you, Paul, in a nice jet gift bag for you there. It features the Blue Angels that perform in Seattle each year on the first weekend of August, and so maybe you can share that with everybody. And then for Kyle here, a friend of ours, he is a silk printer, and his name is Kentaro Takuya, and he has a business called enfu.com. And what he does is he mixes Japanese culture and American culture in his prints. And that's in your conference book, so I encourage you to take a look at it. He's got some really cool stuff out there. And this is sort of the Russian dolls that fall apart and are all stacked with each other, and with the daruma as well. So thank you very much, Kyle. Thank you very much.